Hello and welcome to Fools and Fiction. It is an interesting time right now.
Indeed.
We are on day 20 something, I think, of quarantine. Well, not quarantine, but what is
Isolation.
colloquially, yeah. So that's fun. I've been home with my dog and my parents, so that's been very nice. I don't know what Finn's been up to. What have you been up to?
I've been up here in Harper's Ferry with my dad and my cat. It's been good to see my cat and good to see my dad. Both of those things. I got my instruments. I do not have my dice kit, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm missing a couple of things. I'm missing my ice cube trays, which is like not the worst problem, but like you notice it.
Do you have enough alcohol?
Yes, I have more than enough alcohol here.
Good. Me too.
No, we are not alcoholics here on the show. It's just that I enjoy making mixed drinks. But I don't know. Like, it's been just really interesting being back. We had 2 lambs just recently, just the other day. They are named Dodge and Trip.
Ooh.
Yeah, hold on. Mom, how many days old are they? Like 5?
Born Sunday.
They're born Sunday. Okay. So 5. Haha. I'm right.
Like they're yours or they're just like nearby?
No, they're ours.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was very cool. We have another lamb that was, I think, a couple of days before I got here on spring break, named Heidi.
Heidi.
Yeah, so it's very we like 3 lambs. I'm super happy about it.
Good stuff.
I've been swamped with work for school.
Mm.
Yeah, it's been crazy. I think I told you this. I had 2 papers due on the same day.
I'm so glad I am not a paper writer anymore. I guess I will be a paper writer eventually.
God,
not an English paper writer.
It was 3,500 words in like an 11-hour time span. Yeah, it broke me.
What is your paper on? Or what were both of your papers on?
One was on about, there's this hypothesis that a guy proposed in like the 80s that all of the dialects of Arabic except for Bedouin were a result of a pigeon process, which is just like a specific type of process with the surrounding languages. And I just wrote my paper on like, hey, here's some pros and cons of this. And my conclusion was like, it's super unlikely and not a great hypothesis. Like, I understand the reasoning behind it, and I can kind of see where he's coming from, but like, and then the other one was on the Killing Joke and how like font and the writing in it works, like the physical writing, not like the writing of the characters or whatever. Did you miss me? Did I one was on Arabic and one was on the Killing Joke.
Oh yeah. I remember you saying that.
Okay,
you I was cut out from the audio for a second.
Like, wait a minute, did my mic
here?
Oh, excellent. Okay. So yeah, that's another thing to look forward to, listeners, is my god-awful Wi-Fi will be cutting me out and distorting me.
We're thinking of doing every other week just to adjust to the new setting.
Yeah.
Which I think will be fine. But yeah, we were thinking...
Oh, how long we'll be there?
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was just saying, like, I don't know how long we'll be doing every other week. I mean, it really depends. We will hash that out behind the scenes and keep y'all up to date.
Yeah, so we were thinking for this episode, just like catching up and talking about the podcast, about the isolation, just to kind of hang out a little bit. Of course, if you're looking for actual information on like good practices, consult the internet, something else. I know Hank and John Green just had an episode where they had an actual doctor on, episode 233 of Dear Hank and John, so maybe listen to that. We are not the people to tell you about how to be healthy. I think I lost on me.
Yeah, like Uh-oh. Hold on. Let
Whatever.
me
I've
check
got.
on WeCast on my end. I'm Craig. Yeah,
I think
like
Craig will still be
I'll
going.
say for health, yeah, for health stuff, listen to uh whatever your local government has put out. Like please, uh, uh, what is it? The CDC website I think has like a lot of good stuff on it. Um, so like yeah, this is for us on like personal experience on it, not like on the front lines. But yeah, why
I
don't we
haven't been
get the
able to
ball
hear you for the
rolling
past
on
minute or
like
so.
some stuff? No, how can this
But
happen?
maybe we can assume that the audience can. Um,
Maybe
something.
audience, if you could hear me, congratulations. If not,
Uh, something that kind of is related to the podcast, though, and also related to the epidemic, is a point that I've seen brought up a few times now, which I think is a really good point, which is while we're in this kind of state, just notice how much value art is bringing to your experience, and realize that art is a is a very necessary thing and something that has a lot of value. Um,
I I think a big thing too is like those of us that create art, like that's one way that we're coping with it. Like just just being able to do this podcast is very nice, but like I've been doing a lot of world building for some stuff that I'm in recently, and that's been like a fantastic way to cope.
I've been writing some. I've been writing a kind of ambient hip hop esque track from my final project for composition, where I've sampled some of the soundscapes around town, and
Oh, that's
that's
cool.
been a lot of fun. So yeah, the something to remember is just how important art is for society. Yeah, I think that was the end of that point.
Yeah, I also like it's very interesting how much I notice just like not going out is affecting me.
Yeah, I
Because
felt
I've like
hella tired today, and then I just like went out on a walk, and I was so much better.
I've been going stir crazy, so like every once in a while I'll just like drive my car around and I won't necessarily get out or do anything. I'll
Uh-huh.
just just take in the sights and I'm like, yeah.
That's a good idea.
Um God, I miss being able to eat out.
Yeah, I've just been having these kind of like microwave noodles nonstop, and it's not a great experience.
That's
But
another thing is so over the past like year I've lost a lot of weight. And that's because I've been like walking to classes more and eating healthier. And now that I'm not walking to classes regularly, I'm just like, uh-oh.
yeah, yeah, I think another important thing to remember during the isolation is that we are allowed to. Well, I guess depending on where you are, but I think everywhere you're allowed to go on like a walk for exercise. It
I don't think there's anywhere as of this taping that has
yeah.
like shut down like that.
So
Which might not
remember
be the
to
case in the future, but like who knows?
yeah. Well, while you can for the moment, or I think it's just always a good idea. Always go on a walk.
That's
Get
true.
some sunlight into yourself.
Get your
Eat a sandwich.
vitamin D. Is vitamin D from the sun?
Yeah, that's the sun vitamin.
Okay. Um
What kind of media have you been consuming recently, Joe?
I've been watching a lot of YouTube. I've been trying to like get caught up on some stuff that I've missed. Um I have been uh I've been trying to keep up to date with my animes. Um
Oh yeah, I need to totally get caught up on My Hero and JoJo.
yeah, I might actually watch JoJo because even though I've read part 5, it's still been a while, and I would not say no to watching it.
Mm.
But no, I've just been like, My Hero, I think the last episode is out tomorrow. Well, like, not ever, but for the season.
Yeah, My Hero is done. Goodbye.
I think the last episode of the new Haikyuu season is done today. In 2 weeks' time, I think, the new episodes for the new season of Food Wars starts airing, and I'm very excited for that.
I've been listening to the entirety of Patricia Taxon's discography, who I just discovered the other day. And I just finished yesterday, I think, her 46 albums.
Crazy.
There were I think 3 or 4 that really stood out that I'll recommend to Joe and to the podcast audience. She has a Plunderphonics album, which is like Neil Sestriga-esque music, called Victory Lap, that I think is a lot of fun. It's
very good. I think I told Finn this, where I'm like, I don't think it's as good as like peak Neil, but that's also like a really tough act to follow.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit of a different style too, like a little bit of a different aesthetic, more of like kind of noise wall rather than this kind of meticulous placing that Neil does.
Yeah, that's a good one.
She's also got a album called My Lady that's a concept album about a port town that just has an incredible atmosphere. It's got 3 songs on it that are each about 17 minutes, called My Life, My Love, and My Lady. And it's just like a wonderful experience. There's also her album Traveler is just really good. And then my final Patricia Taxon recommendation is called Foley Artist. It's very heavy, very dark, but it ends on a very like a ridiculously high note. And nice. It's a very, very good album, but it is very, very like harsh and like heavy and all that stuff, so be warned.
That's like, listening to albums is something I'm going to try and do over this break more often. I think when I get the chance, I don't know when that's going to be with scheduling, but the first one up I know is I need to listen to all of Rumors again, which is one of Fleetwood Mac's stuff. And then I need to listen to some Jackson Browne, some REO Speedwagon, and then Steve Winwood. And the reason they're all up in there is because whenever I drive around, I just listen to the radio, and I'll like write down like a song that I'm like, oh, that's really good. And so I listen to like a lot of classic rock, well, like soft rock, and they come up a lot.
Oh, speaking of listening to the radio, there is an episode of Reply All, which is a podcast I've never listened to before, except for this one episode because some other podcaster recommended it. It's called, heck, I don't know what it's called, but look up Reply All the Hit. It's about a man who is the only person in the world who remembers this like big pop song, and he knows all the lyrics and he knows like all the melodies and stuff, and he gets a real band to perform an arrangement of it in order to try and figure out what the song is, or if he's just insane. And it's just like a wild story.
That reminds me of there's a movie that came out that was like that, called Yesterday.
Yeah, it's just like that. I haven't seen that movie, but it's like the premise of that, except like real.
Crazy.
Like the story, the very basic like premise of it is he was like singing the song in his car to his wife, and he was like, his wife was like, "What song is that?" And he's like, "Oh my god, you don't know that song?" And then he couldn't remember the title, and so he looked up on the internet, and there were like no search results.
That's crazy.
But he like knew all the lyrics. He knew the bass line. He knew the drums. He knew like the guitar. He had memorized the guitar solo, and he knew all the lyrics, and none of it had any search results. And it's just like, so this episode of Reply All is just like a like investigative journalism into like what happened.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
I won't spoil it, but listen to it's the episode isn't called The Hit, but it's got the words The Hit somewhere in it. It's like one of the most recent, like 2 as of the time of recording, Reply All episodes.
Speaking of podcasts, and I know I will not remember the name of this. Lindsay Ellis has a podcast. For those of you that don't know, Lindsay Ellis is like a video essayist that I listen to a lot, and she has a podcast on. She's really into musicals, and she has a podcast on explaining musicals to her friend that is like not into musicals.
That sounds good.
And I've been meaning to give it a listen. And so I got reminded of it by her most recent video, which was on cats.
Ooh, send me a link to that.
I will. Give me 1 second.
Oh yeah, you don't have to do it now. But just like eventually.
Enough. Yeah. I don't know. I've like listeners send us things that we should do in our break.
And also, if you have anything you want to talk about, come on the show. It is allowed. If you have an internet connection.
It's legal.
Yeah, otherwise do not come on the show if you do not have an internet connection. You are banned.
We'll Ouija board you in if you don't.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah. If you're trying to watch things with friends, which has been a very fun thing, there's an app that I recommend called Cast, which is free, where you can stream your screen to other people along with its audio. We've been using that for Skiffy. And it's been working very well. I think there's only like 1 or 2 people who haven't been able to get on.
Yeah, I mean, I personally had a problem with it, but that's because like my Wi-Fi is unreliable. Yeah. So it is what it is. I'm thinking, what else do we want to talk about?
I don't know. Is there anything that we are in a unique position to give to the world? Not as a general question. I mean, in this podcast episode, I could grab my melodica.
I will say, plot wise, like for the plot of the podcast, we're going to try and wrap up the arc with the end of this semester, where I'm graduating from undergraduate and then coming back for graduate studies, and then Finn is doing 5th year senior next year.
Yep.
And then this happened, and so what happens to the plot is very up in the air right now. If you liked us having the plot and want us to continue with the plot, we will definitely come up with something. And we might come up with something even if no one reaches out to us. But as it stands right now, we're going to do a couple of things, just getting used to the situation which we're in before we reintroduce the plot.
I think while it's important to maintain some regularity during times like this, it's also important to be flexible and to I think that encapsulates my point. Let's
all right.
Before we end off this episode, let me play something on the melodica just so that they get some art out of this. What should I play on?
Is it the first 5 notes of Megalovania?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I'll just do the first 5 notes. That's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
There.
Yeah.
It is done. Well, no, because Megalovania starts off with a ba-da-da-da. It's not... Hold on. Am I going insane?
No. The melody of here, I'm gonna do
The
all of
first note-
Megalovania, or all the chorus. That's it. That's Megalovania. That's how it goes.
Excellent. That's how it goes.
I'm still learning this instrument.
All right. Well, it has been fun chatting into the void and doing this episode. We technically could do plugs, but right now I think the only plug I want to give is just like, be safe, y'all. These are stressful times. Like, do what you got to do. Yeah, exactly.
I'm undermining your sincere message.
That being
comedy.
No, it's completely like on the one hand, mood, but just like don't do anything stupid. Just like be safe.
Also,
and I know it's like, oh, go ahead.
I just thought of one final thing. People are always saying on the internet that like we should be using this time to be as productive as possible and as efficient as possible and get all these things done. But like, if you need to, just like, you can take a break, you can relax as long as you are still looking out for yourself, because that is another way to look out for yourself.
Yeah.
You don't have to be totally like getting into guitar or something. Like you can just deal with what's going on. It's allowed.
I saw a post that was like, if you get out of this quarantine not knowing another language or having your side hustle started, you didn't lack time, you lacked discipline. And someone took it, edited it, and crossed out all that and said, you are completely valid. Some people just need the rest. And said, there, I fixed your post for you. And I was like, oh my God.
Like, look after yourself, look after others. If you want to, listen to the entirety of Patricia Taxon's discography. It's 46 albums long. The albums are full length.
How did you survive doing that, by the way?
I just did it while doing homework. A lot of them don't have lyrics.
Okay. Oh, okay. That makes it, I don't want to say more tolerable, but like easier to do while doing other stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I would hate to break up tradition, so I must dismiss y'all in the standard way. Please, for the love of God, turn the podcast off.